Alright, so part 2 of this video is going into my personal essential items. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the items that I kind of showed, and then a little bit more, and explain why they are my favorite and what I kind of use them for. I think it's essential to have a stapler. This is the one I keep at home. Then I have one of these, I think they're called staple removers. You just kind of pinch it in and you pull the staple out. I don't use this very often, but when I need it, it's pretty good, because the last thing you want to do is rip your hard work apart and ruin the paper to put them back together if you miss a sheet. I've done that before where I've missed the second page, or I stapled it without looking and realized the second page needed to be reprinted because something happened with the printer, and these work really well. Mine came with the pink stapler that I just showed, so if you can buy it in a pack, that's great. If not, I think these are a couple dollars, but and then also having a mini stapler. I keep this in my bag almost at all times, because sometimes class teachers want you to work on something in class and then staple it, or they want you to turn a paper in and maybe you had it in your notebook and you want to pull it out, but then you have to staple it. Some teachers will not accept papers unless they are stapled. Another item that I think is essential for personally me is this kind of a bag with straps. I think this is called a tote bag. I got this when I was in Los Angeles. I think it was in downtown Disney maybe. It's got snaps here for 2 pockets in the front. I normally keep my stapler right in here, and it stays in there pretty well. I've never lost anything out of the bag before. And then it also has a side pocket where sometimes I keep my phone charger or my iPad charger. And then it also has another one. So I keep maybe my phone charger on one side and the iPad on the other one. Inside it's just open, and it does have a zipper pocket, and then it does zip across the top here. Normally it's too full to zip it all the way, but I like that. And the reason I use this type of a bag instead of a backpack, which I bought a couple semesters ago, and the reason I use this now is because I like to fill my backpack up and to the point where it's too heavy. And I know it's better to have the weight distributed across both of your shoulders or your back, but for me, I have a tendency to overfill my bags, so I do this because it really can't hold a lot extra, and so I've liked this bag ever since I bought it. And then I also got whiteout. This is the tape version where you push it flat on the surface and you roll it. It works really well. I don't really have a lot of problems with this. I wish it held a little bit more inside there, but I know there are some that are larger and they can hold more. This is just what I have right now. It is by Bic. It's the Whiteout Easy Correct. It works pretty well. I like it better than the liquid whiteout. I always have a problem with the pens that they glob up at the end and then the whiteout won't come out, or that the bottle will dry out really fast, or it takes too long for the liquid to dry, or even that it gets bumpy on the surface. Then you can't write on it smoothly. So this works well, and I've done a couple layers before. I've made a couple mistakes, and I went over the same area a couple times, and it works pretty well. So this one's good. Alright, and then I buy these for when I take notes on note cards. This is a mini, I call it a mini accordion file. I'm not sure what they're technically called. But pretty much inside here is a bunch of little clear pockets, and I stick maybe a few chapters worth in different sections if I'm only using it for one subject, or I'll keep the classes separated, and sometimes I'll use post-it notes to help me separate them. This works well for keeping your note cards organized, and it fits well in my bag, so it just sits like that. So then the Oxford Thesaurus. This one I found out is really nice. I wish I had a thesaurus and dictionary, but I really wanted a thesaurus because I realized I needed more choices of words when it came down to it, and my teacher was really big on finding the correct word that really describes what you're looking for. So this one is nice. I like when the pages aren't yellow. It's just a personal preference. So the page is white, and then it has a little bit of color, which for me I think is nice. I wish it was all in color, but probably really expensive to do that. So, and then it had a lot of choices when it came down to the words. So I got this one over a couple other options, but other ones work well. This is just the one I got, and it's small, but it says my hand, so it fits in my bag really well. so when it comes down to highlighters, this is my all-time favorite one. I like it because it's 3 colors in one, and I just twist it, and it's got 3 different colors, really crisp colors. It's only now starting to die, and I've used it for a couple of semesters, but that works really well. I got it from a event on campus, and I wish I could buy more. I'm not sure if this is something that the company made and then they were distributing, or if I can just buy this at a store. So I'm going to look around and try to find another one of these because it was really great, and this yellow was really bright. And the blue and the pink were not too dark that you couldn't have writing underneath it and not be able to see it. You could see it. It was great. And then, as I mentioned, I was trying out these gel highlighters from Sharpie. I didn't know what to expect from these, but open one up and show you. So pretty much it looks like a highlighter, and then you open it up and then it's kind of flat, and it kind of looks like a crayon. This end piece, you can twist it up and it can get larger. I haven't figured out how much is actually in there. I haven't used a lot of it looks like, but it works pretty well. When you highlight, it's kind of like a crayon. So it's not crisp all the time. You have to put a little bit of pressure. And then it does take a little bit to dry. It doesn't smear the words, which is great because sometimes that is a problem with a lot of highlighters, is the pencil you're using, or even sometimes the pen, will smear. This one doesn't do that, but it does take a little bit to dry. It does need a little bit of time, or if you are taking notes really fast and you're using the highlighter, and you flip your page over, you'll get pink on the other side of your paper. So it kind of is nice. It's kind of like pick your battle. They're great to try out. They weren't cheap though. I think they were on sale when I went to try them, so they were a little bit cheaper, but that still wasn't that cheap. Got this. I haven't even tried it yet, but I think that if it does multiple things, like it has the pen on this side, the highlighter on this side, and then it's got little note tabs, that's great. Because I haven't really tried it yet, but I like when things have more than one use. And then as for other highlighters, I do use other ones. It's just I don't have a specific brand that I always use, but I think having tons of highlighter colors, choices, especially ones that the colors aren't too dark so that you can't see your pencil. I have a couple of them. I think I have a purple, I have green, blue, pink, orange, lots of bright colors. So my favorite thing about highlighters is that if you're buying a textbook, you can highlight in your textbook. For me, the program that I'm in right now, we're renting our textbooks, or I'm renting them from online, so I really can't highlight inside of them, which I wish I could. That's really helpful for me. It's one of the things that I like because I'm a very visual learner. But if you can't, taking the notes and being able to highlight the specific sections. So like in history, when we find out what our test is on, I go back into my notes and I highlight each section that we're talking about, and then I highlight in a different color all of the pertaining facts that I need to kind of review. So I love highlighters. They're great. They're really useful. And I do have to say that I've been using the gel ones every time I write or I highlight in my notebook. Just because, like I said, it does not mess up the pencil in the book. Sometimes I even type it up on the computer, some of the notes, and then I go back and I highlight afterwards. And it's just a really good way to find key points and then connect it with the topic. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about pens. I mentioned that I got these pens from the dollar store, and to be honest, I wasn't really sure what to expect. The colors are really nice and bright, but I wasn't really sure. I've had pens before that I bought that don't work at all. They don't last very long. They die really fast. But these so far have worked quite well, and I like to be able to use these for when I'm, especially in math class, I especially love to use these because when I'm writing all of my answers and my work in pencil, I go back and the teacher's going over the correct way to do that and extra notes. I don't want to mix up what I did with what she's writing, so sometimes I'll go back and I'll choose a pen and I'll add any extra notations or extra ideas that they're talking about, and then if I got the problem wrong, I'll also mark it in. I don't need this many colors necessarily, but I love having options. And sometimes you just feel like you want something really bright, and sometimes it just, just really depends. And sometimes teachers use colored paper, so if you only have a blue pen and they're using blue paper, it doesn't really work that well. So I love having at least 4 colors to choose from. Alright, and then I got these from the dollar store before, and I didn't have high hopes from it. I just needed a pen for traveling on the airplane. And this one is Click Ink. I think that's the brand name. These worked really well. Pretty much you just click pen, and the piece comes out, and then you press on top of here, and then it retracts back in. This is the only pen that I would say still works. Anyways, this is the only one that still works. I used to have a bunch of them that different types that I loved, and this is the only one that still works. So I don't know why. I don't know what makes the pen stop working. Is it the heat? Is it the lack of heat? Cold? I have no clue. But these are the ones that still work, and I'm very surprised because they are from the dollar store. Also got this. It's called a Optimus Fine Point Pen. It is a fine tip pen, and I got this because I wanted something that was it's not bright, but it's blue, so it stands out from the black, a lot of the black worksheet, like the ink on the worksheets that the teachers give you. And so I could correct myself or take notes, and I've actually found that this works really well for when I'm using my Post-it notes, because certain inks don't absorb into it. They don't dry very well, but this one works well, and it doesn't smear. And since the way I'm taking my notes in my textbook, I don't want the ink to get onto the textbook, so I wanted to stay on the Post-it. So I got this. It was a 2-pack from the dollar store again. Works really well, and it dries really fast, so I like that. Alright, so I use these all the time in my history textbook right now, since I can't write in it, and it's a really difficult subject for me. So what I do is I've taken the blue one that I bought previously, and I write down notes on there, and then I stick it in that section of main points. And then right now I also have a yellow one, so I'm trying to find a way to maybe mark main points on one and then extra information on the other. I'm still working on it, but this is my plan for this history class so that I can try to pass it. It was really hard for me. And then also I recommend getting one of these. This one is a ruler, but it also has the hole puncher in there for punching your papers. Sometimes teachers punch them for you, and that's wonderful. Sometimes teachers don't punch them for you. And so if you don't do it on the spot, I have a hard time of actually coming home and remembering to punch them, so I have a bunch of loose papers everywhere. And I especially think this is necessary if you are going to be using the binder method of organization. So you should buy one of these. Mine broke, but technically you could clip it into your binder. There's a hole here and there was a hole here. And then that worked for me for a while when I used to use the binder method. I have another pouch. This is the one I keep for Post-its. I put all the Post-its notes in here, and extra lead. And it's not a really thick one. It's from like Target in the dollar section. But the pencils are too much to fit in this. But since Post-it notes are kind of thin, it works wonderful, and it's bright in my bag, so I love that. And then I got one of these, as I mentioned. This one I keep with all of the lined paper. Oops. This one I keep with all of my lined paper in it, just so that I have clean, fresh lined paper, and I find it really useful, especially right now in my classes, because I am using lined paper, and some teachers want you to do an in-class assignment on lined paper and then turn it in, and that way you don't have to worry about the hassle of ripping it out of your notebook and then cleaning the notebook paper junk out of there and then cleaning the paper, with getting the extra junk off of it. This is just something I can pull out and not have to worry about, and it's really easy and doesn't take any extra effort. For my paper organization, I am obsessed with accordion files. Filing folders, I think, maybe? I don't know. So, filler paper. Not a lot need to be said. I like to keep extras of this just because it's quite necessary, and I take notes sometimes with this. Notes from the textbook, so this is great to have. I mentioned that I tried these out. These are my new pencils. I really love these pencils. I wish the lead was a 0.7, since I do put a lot of pressure when I'm writing. The lead tends to break easier, but they didn't have the option of a 0.7, which kind of sucked. But sometimes you can find that option. And I like that it has a grip on the front here. Since I do press hard and I write a lot, it can give me a bruise on my finger. So that is handy. I really like that it's got a twist eraser. And speaking of eraser, this pencil comes with 3 eraser replacements. Let me show you. And they're about that long. This is really helpful when you run out of an eraser and you can replace the eraser. With the other regular pencils that are a little bit cheaper, if you run out of the eraser, you just basically switch to a new pencil, or maybe you can transfer the eraser, but this one comes with a really nice eraser replacement. So they give you 3 of those, and then it also came with a pack of 0.5 lead. Alright, my last essential item is a label maker. I use this all the time for labeling any type of schools, like tabs, binders, anything I can think of. I use this all the time.